what if you can have the perfect assistant, right? Someone who understands what's going on, someone who can break down a problem, plan out how to tackle this problem, use all the frameworks in the right ways in order to help you exactly, flawlessly execute on tasks. I mean, this was the dream of the MBA intern, right? Like we all thought, okay, they learn all of these frameworks, they learn from the best of the best, and we're waiting for them to show up and show us real world problem solving. What are you going to bring? And unfortunately, most of the time, it doesn't work somehow, right? Like the things that they're learning don't really translate. A lot of them maybe have a little bit of MBA flair, and at the workplace where politics does happen, right, it creates all sorts of issues. I mean, it's the same with AI. We keep on saying it's like a smart intern, but it doesn't quite work until I think we've already hit that point where AI can be better than the MBA intern. And I'm not talking about ChatGPT or Claude. I feel like those at some points still remain interns, though let's see what the new models they'll bring out this year can do. But in this moment in time, the software I've been using it for the past year, it has consistently outperformed compared to all of the LLMs, the major ones, in the output. And I'm talking about Manus AI. I feel like YouTube at least has been pretty quiet about this tool. I don't know why we're gatekeeping it, but I feel like this was the number one tool outside of LLMs that I used. And recently they came out with something that I feel like for framework thinkers, it is top notch. So let me show you how I use this tool to get really phenomenal, like above average output every single time. Let me show you. All right, we are in Manus, and in a nutshell, this is an AI agent. So basically, whenever you give it a prompt, a task, it will identify it, break it down, and plan out how it's going to do it. Then agents are actually going to conduct whatever it is needed, like research or compiling Excel sheets or do whatever it is that needs to be done. And then they give you the output. So the point is to help you do stuff autonomously, right? It will orchestrate all of the different agents to get things done. I mean, I really think Manus is my colleague at my work. It helps me break things down. It helps me do things, by the way, without a complicated prompt. And I'll show you an example in a moment. If for 1 second we can remember the last video I did where I talked about, okay, we're moving away from prompt engineering towards context engineering, right? So the prompt you give is no longer very important, but you need to give a good context. And we talked about how, you got to get the documents together, you got to take notes. And I think there's still some work to be done if you don't already do it. Whereas what I'll show you today is even if you don't have that note-taking stuff done, you can still get, 80-20 of the power of having the right context. And this wasn't available, this feature, when I filmed the last video, but it's here now. So give this a try. All right, so let me show you an example just so it's easier to visualize what I mean by this. I am currently writing a book. And so one of the things I'm doing is I want to make sure that the book is not just like another drawn on 4 pages about a story. And then, you get some somewhat actionable, but not really actionable thing towards the end. And, the book gradually gets worse because all the authors know most people don't read past like the first chapter. I didn't want to do that. So I thought about, okay, what kind of frameworks can I use? And to me, James Clear's Atomic Habits, he's put so much thought into how each of the chapters set up so that people actually read through it, people actually take action on it, and, you actually get the transformation as a reader. So I wanted to use his framework, but, he hasn't shared it anywhere. So I thought, okay, I want to, and I think this is the one, I want to actually figure out his frameworks. So what I did was I gave it this terrible prompt, right? I just said, hey, I'm writing my sample book chapter and I want to use the structure in Atomic Habits. So help me analyze the structure and what's the role of each section and how they link to each other so that the reader is engaged and reads to the end. See the chapter attached. And I attached chapter 1 of Atomic Habits from James Clear. Okay. this prompt, this is the stuff I cringed at. My mom puts prompts like this into ChatGPT, okay? But just with this simple prompt, Manus went ahead and it started to, read through the PDF, it started to analyze, and then it helped me then create this structure analysis of what are the frameworks that James is using in his book. So then I then asked it to do a next chapter because each of the chapters have a different intention, right? The first chapter is kind of setting the scene. The second chapter starts to get into the frameworks and stuff. So I asked it to do the second chapter. So it did the second chapter, went through it. And then it compiled something. So then I asked it to I asked it to analyze chapter 2 compared to chapter 1. So it gave me this awesome document. Let me show you at least a preview of it, where it went into opening technique, primary mode, story count, visual diagrams. It went through argumentation styles, the emotional arc, meta commentary that it now has. I personally think I'm a pretty strong framework thinker, right? If I took the frameworks, I took the chapters, I can analyze it, but no way can I analyze 2 chapters across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 categories and be able to map it out in, this probably took, I don't know, like 5 minutes. Okay. Like, is that crazy or is that crazy? Okay, and this, by the way, I'm not even talking about the new feature I was thinking of sharing with you today. This is just simple how to use Manus. Okay, 80-20, you just put in a task and it will just do it better than you expected. Okay, now here is the feature I want to talk to you about, which is skills. So skills in a nutshell is basically a modular place to capture how to do something. Okay, so it's an onboarding guide so that every time you just tell Manus, hey, if you are helping me do market research, this is the workflow I want you to use, right? Basically, you're creating, a standard operating procedure of sorts for Manus. But the cool thing is, and it comes already pre-installed with certain skills, but the cool thing is, if you do something like what I did here just now, I can make it into a skill so that whenever I am writing my book chapters, I can now simply say, choose skill. I could choose my, engaging chapter writer skill. And I say, okay, help me edit this chapter. And I just paste in the chapter here. And it will know to go through the 10 things that we talked about here and start to give me suggestions. It's not making things up, right? It's not averaging down to whatever is most generic and start to predict. It actually has the context of how I want this thing to be done. And we can use it again and again and again. That's where you have consistent output at a standard that you set, which is how you're going to stand out, right? Because I talked about using frameworks last time in your AI in order to not deal with the generic stuff. But this skills feature, take it even further, is every single thing that you do in Manus, you can say, this is how I like it done, right? And you can refer to that, or you can edit it as you go, so that not only are things consistent, they can consistently outperform average results. Then what you're able to do is, continue to refine the framework that you use. Let's say, right now I use James Clear's version and I think, okay, it's pretty good. But as I'm reading, maybe I read another book. Let's say I'm currently reading, How to Solve It. It's a math problem solving book. But anyway, let's say, then I think, how he's written the book is even better. So now I get Manus to analyze the frameworks of how Polya writes his books. And then I can compare, right? First, I give it my sample chapter and I say, okay, analyze this across, how James Clear thinks through his chapter. I get an edit following a very specific framework. Then I say, okay, take the same sample chapter, now analyze it against Polya's framework. Then I can physically compare the results. Right? And I can say, okay, I like this part from James Clear. I like this part from Polya. And then I can create my own framework based on the best parts of other frameworks, right? I used to do this very manually, but now just think about all the things. As long as you can dream it, you can have it. How wonderful is this? Like, this is music to the framework thinker. And the easiest part is you don't even need to come up with the framework, right? If you know zero frameworks, you just have a bunch of examples that you think are good, get Manus to analyze it. The frameworks it came up with was much better than what I could have done physically. So this is, supercharging those of us who are doing knowledge work to expand our capabilities, right? We're really getting good leverage out of AI and not mindlessly just accepting whatever output it gives, right? This is actually helping me think, which is what I mentioned in the last video as well. Like, I truly believe we can actually enjoy knowledge work and go further from it because we can have this fast feedback loop of building on skills and getting to something like this in a few minutes. Manus is free to start. Out of all the models, you get to use 1.6 Lite. I am currently on the paid plan because I use it a lot, but I can never finish my credits. So, just give it a try. And when you download it with my link, you'll get another 500 credits for free. Every single day, they reset I think it was 300 credits. So you can have plenty to do something simple as this. Even though, it's analyzed 2 whole chapters, I use probably like less than 100 credits. So it's free to start. Give this a try. I really think we can move now away from the technical prompt engineering and into more deeper thinking with good context. And now, given context, if you don't have everything prepped, at least you can start to give it frameworks inside skills. Now, I'll show you a few more features that I like while I have you here, even though this won't be like a how to use Manus video. There are so many use cases for Manus. Oh, and I forgot to mention, it recently got bought by Meta. Even before they got bought by Meta, they were pushing out so many easy to use features that felt very different from a lot of the other LLMs. Like, this is focused on getting things done. So what you can see is what are the type of things that can get done, and their use cases, all of them are super awesome. Like, you can use it as a teleprompter. I don't use one, but I think a lot of my YouTube friends use it. So actually, I will be sending this to them so they don't have to buy the super expensive equipment for that. You can get it to navigate YC companies, right? For data analysis, this thing is a beast. Okay, like, oh man, you don't even need to expand. Just like the terrible prompt I shared with it knows how to get you the things that you want. It intuitively understands what are you actually trying to get at. And I think that's really their strength. I mean, they have very clear frameworks on how they set something up. So when you say something like, hey, help me build an app, which by the way is another thing that you can do, just with easy prompts to build mobile apps, then you can publish on the Google Play Store or on iOS. What you can say is build me an app for, learning frameworks, and it will understand all of the things that it needs to do in order for the mobile app to actually work. So it's got frameworks pre-installed, the workflow pre-installed, right? That's what I mentioned earlier on. It comes pre-installed with rigorous thinking processes, so you don't have to explain from the beginning. An app needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will actually create a to-do list and be able to go through things one by one. Productivity, again, being able to do scheduling, being able to proofread, contract reviews. I've used it to review legal documents. What can I say? I am a huge fan. So give this a try. Let me know how you find it. I'll leave the links down below. And yeah, I love this tool. Let me know what you think.